All right. What's up, guys? How we doing? What's happening? What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, let me go ahead, guys. We're going to kick this off here in a second. But before we do so, let me go ahead and promote this real quick. But what's good? Let me know where you're coming in from, what your intention is for this session today, what you'd love to learn, what you'd like for me to look at. Let your boy know. All right. Okay. So I was having round four, insane. I was having some issues on the previous stream, but I think for the most part we're good to go. Dale, David, deja aquí lo que tengas en mente. What's up, Will? What's up, Seth? David. All right, I see y'all plugging in here. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so I know people are going to be hopping on here in a sec, so I'm going to set up a couple things. Gold to 3K. Yeah, wild, right? Wild the journey that we're on right now. It's so epic because I remember during what was it? I think we were hosting in Florida. There was a convention, 2018. I want to say it was 2018. Yeah, and we were talking about metals and where they could go and what the potential was, and so yeah, literally on stage, this was these ideas were communicated: silver, gold, and I still have these marked up. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, here we go. So this was the this was what I originally had in mind. But yeah, we were at a convention and we talked about metals and they were sitting at around, 14 and change here for silver, and then gold was sitting at it was like at 1200. And so it just really went on an absolute rampage during 2019, and then the COVID times really made this absolutely send. But yeah, it's just cool. Like we were zoomed out a lot more, and this one I felt like was a lot easier to understand because you guys probably don't really realize this, but gold right now, it seems like gold is at its all-time highs. Right? If you look at this, I'm actually about to blow your mind because I'm sure you've never considered this before. But in here, let me ask you a question. Now, as these assets go up, and clearly gold is having the greatest year basically, ever. But let me ask you something. Have you considered how this looks compared to inflation? So, we saw in the 80s, gold hit almost 1,000, right? 800 and change. Now, right now, it's sitting at 2,700 and change. But what do you guys think? Like, how do these compare to one another? Man, I have to find this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this thing. I really hope I can find this link. I had this website pulled up for a bit. Oh, no way. I think I just did. Did I? Is this the one I was looking at before? Hold on. Maybe I am finding what I wanted to look for. Okay, but basically, here's something that I want you guys to think about, which is I thought just was really interesting. When because we're seeing all-time highs and everyone's focused on price, but you have to adjust everything to inflation too. So obviously, right now, gold's on a rampage, but relatively, is it worth the same? And actually, guys, this is just about the same. Where price is at here back in 1980 and where price is at now is basically the same. If you adjust everything to inflation, which I need to find again. But yeah, relative to inflation, they're actually about the same, which is just something that I thought was really interesting because I feel like we kind of overhype, not just gold, but like everything. Like, everything is just like, oh my God, it's only going up. It's only going up. And for sure, but when there's more money circulating, then it's easier, right? It's easier for this to happen. So yeah, just something I wanted you guys to consider. I think we actually just broke through finally, like this month. Here, let me see. I think I found a chart. Here we go. So here's inflation adjusted gold price. So adjusted to current prices and nominal price. So you can kind of see how these actually are still under. So although, gold is here, this is kind of what it just normally. Here's where it was in the 80s, and obviously this thing has just been on a rampage. But adjusting to inflation, gold is actually less. Gold right now is actually less than what it was before. So what does this really mean? Well, a couple things. Basically, all it really is saying is that everything relative just costs so much more. Like, our money is just worth less. So if you would have held all of this time, I don't even know if it would have been worth it. If you would have started buying like early 2000s, then yeah. But like, your money is just worth so much less than what it used to be. So technically, like, had you had the gold at whatever, when it was, for example, here, when it hit like 800, at the time, $800 worth of gold was worth so much more than having $2,700 worth of gold right now. So that's all this is. So this is just adjusting to current prices, which is also why I think that Bitcoin is it's not really properly, like, I think Bitcoin has so much more to go because like we're in a different environment than we were just even 3 years ago. Like, things are continuing to inflate, so it's just naturally easier for these prices to go higher. And that's why I think investing is kind of like an easy concept. Like, there's more money moving around, so put it into something that's usually, right, going to go up. Obviously, there's ups and downs. But, yeah, just something to think about. I know maybe this might be going over some people's heads. Maybe you're like, oh, okay. Cool, interesting. But just something to consider, that things are not, just because prices are and certain things are going up, it doesn't really mean that it's better all of the time, right? Like when people were receiving stimulus checks, they're like, oh, cool, I have more money, free money. Yeah, great. But what does that mean for everything else? That means that things are just going to go up in price. Things are going to cost more. The value of what used to be your dollar is worth so much less, right? I'm sure you guys have seen, the things, like what things used to cost comparative to now. So just something interesting that I wanted you guys to to see. And if you've never looked at kind of how the U.S. dollar adjusts to inflation, it's pretty insane. Like, for example, if in 1913, or actually here, for example, like I was born in 95. So inflation has basically gone up 107% since then. Here's a little inflation calculator for you guys. So in 1995, you purchased something for, let's just say, this is $1. This thing freaking out. Okay, here. So let's say you bought something for $100, and now this year it would cost you $206.89, but has income gone the same way? I don't think so. So just a couple of different things, and you look at different things, it's really interesting. Allegedly, right now we are rebalancing, as you guys can see, right? How much things are inflated compared to before. I mean, just go outside. I mean, go to a grocery store, look at a box of cereal, and tell me how much that costs compared to what it used to. So you always got to understand what is the source of this information as well. So if you see websites like this, what's the source? So you can get statistics, guys, all the time, right? And here's why I bring this up. You can get stats, you can get all of this information, but who is providing that information? Facts are facts. But who are they given by? What could there be a narrative? Could be their perspective? Could there be what data is it pulling from? What's the sample size? So just something to consider as you're looking at information, and if you're interpreting whatever information, data, blah blah blah, something interesting. Now, okay, so going outside, coming back here, not going to go into a huge rabbit hole right now, but this week should be a little different for you guys, because this week we're not really getting a lot of US dollar news until later in the week. So don't be surprised if the dollar is pretty mellow, if you don't get tons of movement with USD. Now, you could get GBP USD to move a bit. Tomorrow we have news during New York session. On Wednesday, you could see some Canadian USD CAD. You might get some action. GBP again. But the dollar on its own, I wouldn't expect extremely volatile, like big spikes. It could be just steady, nice, like a little under the average in volatility. But those big moments, those that are just time sensitive, yeah, that won't really hit until Thursday. In the meantime, though, you could still expect indices to do their thing. Indices, in my opinion, will still do their thing just like they did today. Today we had NASDAQ buys, which depending on how you manage it, it went pretty nice. So, yeah, a couple things to consider. Now, I want to give you guys a little take that I have on US30. Some of you guys are asking for Euro CAD, US oil, AUD USD. I can cover some of those for sure in a little bit. there's just some key setups that I like here with US30 that I wanted to share with you guys, if that's all right with you. But yeah, we have the sweep of the lows, the market rallies. Wednesday's price action was really aggressive, like a super bull. And this just went crazy. If you look at NAS did not have that same type of trading behavior up until actually going into London session was when NASDAQ really started to push higher. And then also so did US30. But yeah, the momentum was a lot different for sure across the board. Now, with that being said, today's pullback was a lot more aggressive. US30 was way more bearish than anything today. So it dropped quite a bit. Obviously, you saw how, well, not obviously, but some of you guys maybe noticed Bitcoin working its way down. So we could have some buy scenarios here for US30 tomorrow. I do want to point out that we also have more imbalance here from October 11th. And so we could go even further. That's a possibility. I want to know and I want to see, because I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. And I want to see how NASDAQ worked its way lower. Because NAS today really held up really well. It worked its way down to an area where I had a buy position. So there was 2 buy scenarios today. And as you guys can see, that pushed along nicely. Good 200 points today. But there's definitely motive for price to go lower once again with NAS. And so if NASDAQ wants to go lower here and possibly, let's say, take out these equal lows, how does that relate to US30? That's what I want to see. If NAS pushes down, is US30 going to drop really aggressive or not? An ideal, in a perfect world scenario, NAS gets to these lows. NAS clears this liquidity over here. So we get below all of this. And then somehow it sets up where US30 gets down to here at a slower pace. And so if US30 gets to this zone when NAS is getting below this liquidity, then I love buy opportunities for US30. So US30 here, I think we can see a great setup. It will depend. I have extra confidence if NASDAQ is dropping actually a bit faster than US30. Now, on top of that, as you guys can kind of see, I think a little better with US30, New York Open today was very bullish, and then it lost all of its momentum. So US30 started off this session, popping off, goes up like a good 80, 90 points. Yeah, 90 points. And then it comes tumbling down. So on the way down, I think we still have this as an open position. There's definitely a intentional sweep of the high, which rebalances, liquidates some sellers, and then this just starts to push down, just like further and further and further down. So it looks to me like we definitely sweep the highs and we chop up a little bit, which I think builds up more so resistance and liquidity, and then we finally work our way lower. So seeing a sell-off up here for US30.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor, the chairman.
I don't even know.
The chairman of the Life Success Group of Companies.
Where do you come from, Bob? How do you just... I actually don't know how this happens anymore. There must be like a hotkey to turn on Apple Music or something that I'm unfamiliar with. Because Bobby P just pulls up. He just does its thing. I don't understand. But all right. Cool. Okay, so basically, I'm going to keep my eye out on US30, NAS, and S&P. Kind of just see what they're up to. I like US30 buys. I could eventually also like US30 sells. So it looks good. Like the setups, price action looks good here. Obviously, we're a little early, but for me, I like keeping in mind what the other indices are doing, and that helps me make better decisions and avoid getting wicked out of areas, etc. Because sometimes they look basically identical, and it's like, which one do I even take? So, yeah, there it is. So here is US30. Boom. All right. So there you guys have that. NAS, I'm not really doing much more here. I think we have, and in price action that we're at right now, there's not really much that I'm looking for. You might see some opportunity over here. You see how you have a little bit of imbalance from Wednesday, October 16th. Maybe a little bit of action in here. Could dive into that. But there's more imbalance over here that we might just wick into and then reverse from. Right now, I think the big thing was there was two main entries. When the market came down to here, this mitigated this sell-off. So we had the bearish structure, sells off, gives us higher highs, pulls back, closes off the sell, boom, market pops off. I shared this with the community on Friday morning. So for those of you that were on Friday's New Year's session, you guys had this one already marked up. This ends up, this was a give or take 30 to 40 point stop. This rallies for over 200 points, so 5, 6, 7R, depending on where your exits were, and then lost a lot of momentum right away. So we, again, here cleared the lows, liquidated buyers all throughout Friday's and Sunday's sessions, and then we completely came back up here. When price didn't close above here and quickly started to work its way down, this gave me a little bit of uncertainty on how far I wanted to take it, because at the time, we did trade above these highs for a good hour plus, and then it came crashing down. When the market was crashing down with NAS, US30 was just melting. This was working its way down, but US30 was melting. So I knew that NAS was leaning more towards eventually turning into a bullish movement, and so actually ended up taking the buy right here. Taking a buy right there, it sweeps the highs, or not taking the buy, it pushes up here. So it does a really clean reversal. At this point, we had cleared well above a 1 risk reward, so move stops to break even. This comes back to stop that out, and then the market works its way even lower. At this point now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, all right, this is probably going to end up just, not really doing much. And so I'm noticing, though, that NAS is just not really dropping too much compared to US30. So once we get below, this kind of sweeps these lows, and then the market basically just reaccumulates and runs. So if you had the original entry and you kept it open and you had your stop loss, just a couple points under this, then yeah, you could have caught this whole thing. Everyone obviously has different trading rules, but directionally, we did understand the mission here for NAS today. So right now, I'm curious to seeing what happens if NAS gets below these lows, and then where will US30 be when all of that goes down? What's it going to look like? The last thing I'm going to add to indices is that S&P 500 looks very efficient to me. Looks like business is taken care of across the board here, at least in these recent structures. Now here we popped off, imbalance definitely left over, equal lows also here. But then moving on from last Tuesday, price moves up nicely, pulls back down, leaves a little bit of imbalance, continuation. We see the market sweep some lows, create some highs, market reverses here, aggressively drops. This is kind of following US30's price action, but S&P fills imbalance and then rallies. So S&P has, in my opinion, kind of finished everything is really clean on this structure. Everything has been, efficient, balanced, mitigated. From here, either we work our way lower, or this is just keep pumping up. But S&P to me looks like it's pretty solid. So NAS, US30. Now from there, joining from work. Nice move on NAS today. Nice. Got that first buy NAS to TP. Sweet. Good stuff, guys. Way to execute. Well done. Well done, my friends. So, okay. Like I said, I wasn't going to focus too much on currencies, at least not dollar currencies, since we don't really have much until Thursday. And we do have GBP news tomorrow, so I do want to get into that. But before I do that, I do want to take a look at crypto. Right now, Bitcoin just cleared lows again, and this just seems to get below everything from last Tuesday. So we just swept all of last week's basically liquidity. All the buyers from last week just swept up, assuming that the stops are below 67 and change. This just cleared all that up, and then we are quickly rallying. So I'm very curious to see what we do next. If Bitcoin goes up above 68, well, 67.9 and change, and if we get up here again and we keep holding this, we might just keep sending it. I was thinking whether we're going bearish, shift this break of structure. Could this be the beginning of the market coming back down to like 65.5, 60K? And it still could. But I'm really curious because we have higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. We range for a bit, briefly get above this high, and then work our way lower. If you look at the 4-hour here, price, we didn't really this tries to make a new high, but fails basically right away. So this coming back down, it's not like the market doesn't feel as bearish as it almost should. Because this came crumbling down, but it's still kind of holding structure pretty well. So it seems to me like the intention behind price dropping really was to clear up anyone that started taking, trades on margin, leverage trades from these moments. Because anyone that was buying basically above 66,750 and had their stops there, like that was enough money so that price could come back, collect, and run, kind of like it's doing right now. So, yeah, really curious to see if we're about to see another accumulation and this thing just keeps on pumping. But, we just need a little bit of time, and we'll kind of have a better idea of what that looks like. So that's Bitcoin. If we take a look at ETH, which I haven't yet, ETH, similar, popped off. We saw a lot of dropping today. And then this liquidated everything up until basically Friday, New York session. And then now kind of seeing it come right back up. So it's not that surprising. And then if you guys really, really, really want to do your deep research on crypto and where things can go next, then I do recommend you take a look at the total market caps. I think this just gives a much better understanding of what the market looks like. So on the 4-hour, obviously, things are looking still pretty bullish. On the 1-hour even, if you're looking at structure here, you had higher highs, higher lows. And then from here, we get a higher high, but we just kind of move sideways for a bit until we really get a real higher high. So price coming down from Sunday, like I said earlier, in my opinion, it kind of looked like we were just rebalancing. And also, we had a nice sell-off here. I didn't even notice this on the total market cap. So in terms of all of the marketplace, this looks like it just said, all right, cool, we're back in business. We liquidated everybody going up until Thursday, and we came into imbalance. We got to close off our sell and let this thing run. So I don't know. And also here you had the huge sell-off before the market rallied. Could we be right now, could this be the beginning of this? Because this was literally, this dropped 100 billion in market cap. So are we going to see a casual 100 billion mitigation right now? Could that be the case? I think it's possible. So a couple things, right? We close out this or are we closing out this massive sell? If not, maybe both. So let's see what happens. Structure-wise, I'm still bullish, despite how much we've moved. If we look at total 2, which is the entire market cap except for Bitcoin, there's ETH and friends, same thing. Everything dropped off. Looks like we cleared up all these buyers, and then they started to rally. And you look at total 3, which is basically just all the alts, not including Bitcoin or ETH. The drops have been less intense. Hasn't been nearly as aggressive. So I'm curious if we'll actually drop lower. Maybe we will. And we'll play off of something over here. But markets are really interesting. And guys, I sent this I wrote this up yesterday, and I talked about kind of where we're at overall in the marketplace. So where are we? Now, if you're looking at the weekly, then you can see, right, that we're building up quite a bit. The total market cap, this is the buildup of just the entire marketplace in general, right? This has been building up for quite some time. So we're noticing that right now. Actually, the total market cap is still building up a trend line. Bitcoin, yes, Bitcoin has broken through its trend line, which is cool. But crypto is not just Bitcoin. Right? It's so much more. So we saw the trending, and we just actually rejected for the 3rd time. A lot of people use this as a entry model. 3 hits to the trend line, and then you take the position, whether it's bullish or bearish, but that's what you would do. Now, right now, the total market cap, so this is everything, not just Bitcoin. This is, there's a lot of money still sitting here. So I think we still got to break through this bad boy. And again, so going back to what I sent out yesterday, I don't know how many of you saw what I wrote up, sent it in Telegram, my Instagram broadcast channel. But a lot of you right now should be sitting in profit with something. Most of your bag should be in profit, unless you got in, I don't know, just like if it's like some cryptos, yeah, maybe you're in some drawdown. Some of you're looking to escape. You saw some big drawdown during the last couple months, and you're finally like almost back to break even or mitigating some of those losses. But for the most part, a lot of the marketplace is looking pretty decent. So depending on who you are as a trader, or investor, this might be a good time to, get yourself out of some bad spots, have that money, that liquidity access available to you, and then you just reposition yourself if you get better opportunities. For those of you that have just been stacking up and you have a holding mindset, then there is danger if you were to get out now and this just explodes. And even though you waited for months and months and months and months and months, you get out, and of course that's when everything happens. So it really depends on what your approach is going to be. Some of you, maybe you're just taking some partials, and you leave something in. Maybe you just take out what your initial, and you're letting the profits run. Cool. So it's always, everyone has a different approach to it in what you do here. Everyone's just has a different plan. You have different goals. Some are more conservative. Some are more risky. Some of you see this in a completely different lens. So just something I wanted to point out. But I do want you to understand that volatility is coming. Like, it's here, but you really only have 2 more weeks, 15 days. And then elections, and there will be chaos for sure. Volatility, most definitely. And then even here, if you're looking at the total market cap from, like, the markets really went crazy in March. And right now, you kind of see some trend line, kind of not, it depends on how you draw it. But with ETH, same thing. And then if you look at the market without Bitcoin underneath. We've just left equal highs in March, some more liquidity here in May, and then what's been building up here throughout September and October. So there's so much retail sells, and guys, we're not even close. Like, we're still pretty far from getting back even to the all-time highs. Like, we're way further away from all-time highs with the alts market than we are with Bitcoin. Like, for alts to get back to the all-time highs of 2024, it's going to have to go up another 25, 26% in market cap. For Bitcoin to go, or for the entire market cap, for like the entire crypto space to go back to break even, or to meet the all-time highs, my bad, guys. To meet the all-time highs, we only got to go up about 18%. And then if you want to, just because everyone focuses so much on what Bitcoin's doing, but I think the story is so much bigger. There's just way more context to keep in mind. And for Bitcoin to meet all-time highs again, it just needs to go up like not even 10%. So alts have to travel so much more. That's why I think there's just so much room for altcoins to do what they do. I think we got a lot of room left there. So we'll see what happens here. But that's kind of my update here with crypto. And I think we're going to keep pushing for a bit. And I've given you guys kind of my thoughts on this throughout the last couple months, because I realized like I just was getting a lot of messages about, hey, what should I do? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know, that's pretty common. So I figured let me position you guys as well as I can throughout these times. And I feel like we've done that. So cool. Now, we do have pound news here in a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean like tomorrow. So we have pound news here in basically 12 hours, GBP news. So why don't we take a look at what GBP is doing and if there's any good setups here. If you think you see a setup with GBP, feel free to share. I have not looked at this, so this is my first look at what GBP could be. Lows and then quickly started to work its way higher and has kept these highs. So I think that here we see Euro versus GBP and this huge sell. Now, before I go ahead and mark this up any longer, I do want to add, and I want to check in on this movement, because sometimes these brokers just be doing crazy things. So let me make sure this is an actual move, and sometimes they're not. But I think it is. So Euro GBP. And, okay, cool. Not going crazy. Perfect. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, right now we saw a huge sweep. The market rallies, comes right back up. We've been consolidating. This is building up tons of retail buyers at the moment. So for this to come back down and then continue makes sense to me. So here's how I would approach this. Like, where in this huge zone would I want to buy? If we look at the past, you can see that we've seen some pretty strong, some key levels here where we've seen support. Over here, you saw the same thing. Buyers are building up here with Euro GBP. And then you see a lot go here. So this happened for 12, 16 hours or so. This clears the lows and then rallies. So where would we want some buys here? Well, obviously, the lower it goes, the better the risk reward is going to be. But you also have to keep in mind probabilities. What are the chances that it gets this low and then rallies? So, looking at kind of what we've seen here in the past and the risk reward idea, I do think that we could get a decent entry here. And I'm going to actually shoot for this lower one. And have a stop here of about, we'll say like 19 pips. So where can you take this to? If this is a 19 pip stop, where does it make sense to have a reward without, greed, without just hopium? Where does it make sense? So you have imbalance here. I think this is the first target where the market is just inefficient. This has got to rebalance. Maybe it drops from here. But this puts you at well over a 2 to 1, which I think is great. 2 to 1, fire. Then from there, what I do notice is that we also have some liquidity here. So a lot of, a lot of sellers, retail sellers in here. So for the market to clear this up, that makes a lot of sense. And this puts us at a 4 to 1. From here, I think everything else is relatively decent. So I think this would be the based off of the technicals, this is kind of the idea. So I would say exit 1, exit 1, we'll call it TP, and this is imbalance, fill. And then you have up here, which is TP, and then liquidity grab. And yeah, 4R, that's good to me. And this is also trading within the 4-hour structure, just in case it wants to go down again. So yeah, Euro GBP, pretty decent. Not a usual suspect for me. I don't go out of my way to trade Euro GBP, let alone just even look at it. But I mean, here we are. It looks good to me. Maybe that does happen here at that with this GBP news event during New York session. GBP odd, I think it's interesting. We saw a big sell-off right over here. And the market quickly recovered before continuing to move on up. So here, just so you guys have a better understanding, GBP odd came all the way down to rebalance a bit of the market here, and then from here continue. So it crashed and then pumped. And this has just continued to work its way higher. So understanding where we're at kind of makes sense. GBP odd has definitely characteristics for something that can continue to work its way higher. So if this wants to drop back down, clear up equal lows, you have it kind of across the board. Clear this up and rally, definitely see it. Now, this is a big thing, and you got to figure out how you want to take this. I've seen both of these things happen. Either the market plays off of that previous dip before the continuation. So either you see a secondary entry, like your position entry here, or this clears up, obviously, a ton of liquidity, clears all that up, and then wants to fill in balance. So it actually breaks through to here and then rallies. So you guys can decide how you want to approach this. Considering that we've seen some pretty strong levels of support here in the past, it might not go under here. It might just trade off of here. So using context clues from how we've seen this go, might be seeing a trade in this area. The downside of this is it's such a huge zone. Like 150 pip stop, no way. So I want to tighten up a little bit here. And, whether you take it to this structure or over here, that's one thing. But then you have to ask yourself, where does it make sense to take profit with this? How far can I really take something like this? What is just wishful thinking? What is true swing trading? And I'm looking at liquidity, and, I mean, here it is. This is over a 3 point. This is, we'll say, a 3.8 risk reward. So, I like it. this could play out. So we got Euro GBP, GBP odd. I will say I don't think this setup is going to happen here. I don't think it's going to be the next one. Maybe even Wednesday, probably closer to Thursday, just because it has to move so much more. So the market to push down, you got to see this thing drop another 200 pips or so. Unlikely to happen with one moment, maybe a couple. But yeah, because even if you look at it where it was before, here was price Wednesday, September 26th, and then price doesn't get down to here until we're talking about actually 4 or 5 days. So could we get here by end of week? It's possible. It's definitely possible. There's a lot of liquidity, so there's motive for this to get down there too. So GBP odd, another idea to build on top of Euro GBP. So GBP AUD, there you have it. Boom. All right, what's up, guys? I see y'all in the chat. I see y'all. We're getting into it. Okay. David, I think, is going to lose his mind if I don't look at EuroCAD. So, GVP, this was a good one. What's that doing? Came over here, closed off the buy, mitigated that, and just melted. Wow. Good stuff, honestly. Good stuff here. So, GVP CAD, very interesting. A couple different things. So, one, we do see GCAD sweep some lows, rally, and we haven't closed this out. So, the sell-off that happened here on Monday, October 7th, definitely still relevant. So, I think we can see some possible plays from this zone right over here. And we've seen this area before, so we might see something here. But what also catches my attention is how we pushed all the way up to here and then dropped. So it does look like we are in position for sell ideas as well. And looking at how the market, kind of did its thing, we definitely started to push, stalled out, pushed some more. And I think we've just left liquidity here. So, could we sweep the highs, close out something in here to then get a sell again? Because we cleared this, kept on going, filled that imbalance, and then this bad boy drops. So, in my opinion, it kind of seems like we're missing a sell here. So this is where we kind of have that last push higher. Clear out liquidity, do its thing. So I don't know. I like what we got going on. Maybe we do good old play from here. Have this go work its way down to here. And we land somewhere in the middle. GBP CAD opportunity. This one is close enough where this could trigger tomorrow morning for New York session. There's that 8:25 a.m. New York session news event. So here we go. GBP CAD. There's a lot of potential plays for the pound. Definitely way more than I had expected. GBP CHF. I don't know. I don't know how I'm missing all. Like I have them marked up, and then here I am, just alerts not going off or something. But GBP CHF, similar situation. This one. What do we see, guys? You see retail sells. You see big push, big GBP move, clears up tons of sellers, rebalances over here, very efficient, and sells off. So now we're looking at GBP CHF structure here. So let's zoom out a little bit and we'll zoom back in. But market melted, respected these lows, rallied very quickly. It's been rallying. Moves sideways, squeezes for, weeks, explosive movement. Squeezing currently for weeks. Will this keep pushing higher, or will this sell off from here? Now, I still have a zone marked up from GBP CHF from September, which we haven't gotten to. And at the moment right now, when price gets above this 1.1280, every time we get above here, we just lose momentum. It's just having a hard time staying up here. So with that being considered, we put into perspective how this is just building up. There's just liquidity everywhere here. I think there's so many reasons this should come down is actually nuts. So liquidity. One, there's an open sell-off here. Then you have retail buyers here. Based on support, you have trend line liquidity here as well. I really like the sell here. Yeah, I think we might have a little something here. And yes, this stop is, I would say, 40 plus pips is cool. Depending on your style, you could get a little bit crafty, and you could even get away maybe with tightening up your stop, just because this was pretty healthy price action. So if you want to, you can tighten that up. Otherwise, you got a nice 40, 43, 44 pip stop. And then, but where I would want to take this, and this is where this gets really interesting, is I actually would want to swing trade this because of so much liquidity and back-to-back liquidity that this can go and follow. Now, this still isn't even the greatest risk reward ever. 4.65 is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But if we were to tighten this up a little bit, look at how much this changes. This goes into a 6-to-1 from a little over a 4-to-1. So up to your interpretation. From here, I think we could also see reversals. But this is something that could definitely trigger tomorrow or Wednesday. So GBP CHF. As you guys can see, there's so many GBP. So many. Wow. So many setups. We have GBP CHF, GBP CAD, GBP odd, Euro GBP. That's 4. What else we got, right? GBP NZD. Actually, not much. Here, I think it just builds on the idea that there's a lot to clear up. And then there's also this huge sell-off from October 3rd. Kind of ends up making equal lows, though. But still, there's motive for price to go from here at some point. GU, I think, is the least clear in terms of entries at the moment. I see equal highs here. I know some of you, I saw some charts. Some of you want to sell over here, which I kind of get. But the equal highs that I have here, they're kind of overpowering the possibility of a mitigation. And then you have GBP, JPY, which of all of the bunch kind of seems to have a bit of a more of a bullish vibe to it. But this has more to do with the yen. The yen has just been, it just can't hang. So, yeah, GBP, JPY. I'm not necessarily looking for any positions, but it's been very bullish. If anything, I would still kind of stay away from this because I don't necessarily know when it's going to just clear up all of this mess. And that brings us back. So that's some pound setups right there for you guys. I gave you guys 1, 2, 3, 4 setups with GBP. We looked at indices as well. Looked at some crypto. So there's quite a bit going on. If you guys want to do something, practice the craft, or be prepared, then I would say, hey, take a look at the Canadian pairs as well and see what is in store for you, because we do have news for Canadian dollar news on Wednesday. So a couple of things to keep in mind. Last thing I'll say here before I wrap up is it looks like Bitcoin is going to keep moving on up. If we look at natural gas, ends up rallying some more after the zone. Interesting thing here, right? So we mitigate here and then pops off. And then if you look at oil was interesting because we didn't mitigate on the futures data feeds, but we did mitigate on some CFD data feeds. So for some, price gets down to here and it plays off, but for futures, it has not. So I'm still going to keep my options open with this. Definitely keeping that in mind. So just wanted to share that. But main takeaways, guys, to summarize. Have patience if you are normally a USD pair trader. Have patience. If you are, oh my bad, I need to look at EuroCAD before David here loses it. Euro canadiense, antes de que aquí que pierdas. Tengo ventas que estoy esperando por aquí arriba. Captura liquidez. Espero ventas por esta zona. So yeah, look, I like sells up here as well for EuroCAD. I think it looked similar. If I'm not mistaken, GBP CAD looked kind of similar. And then for buys, so we had EuroCAD sweep crazy here. And then we get above and we trade above all of Friday and then all of leading up to New York session. Then we kind of start to work our way lower. Maybe, just maybe, we play off again. That's possible. But we just didn't trade here for very long. Like, yes, for actually a full day. But something about this equal lows is making me suspicious about this. I would rather just wait for the sell than take any buy setups. That's just me on EuroCAD. Prefiero las ventas que cualquier compra aquí. And then you guys know how to keep me here, right? Stocks. So your boy gave you Walgreens. I gave y'all Walgreens. What did it do? Went crazy. Boom. Up 30%. If you did anything with options here, then obviously it's just something totally different. Way more. So well done. Dollar General. I think we're going to drop some more still. I don't think this is quite there yet. So we may work our way lower some more. I'm being patient with Etsy. Etsy came down quite a bit into the zone, and then we did start to reverse already. But this is a pretty massive, massive, massive area. So it doesn't mean that this is not going to go and moon with Etsy. I want to see a higher time frame confirmation before I just decide that maybe this was it. So I still think we could go lower. So I'm not pulling the trigger quite on Etsy quite yet. But yeah, so I still think Walgreens, even with some more pullbacks, might have some other opportunities. Dollar General, Etsy here as well. Another one that I marked up and I shared here with you guys was Boeing. It came into our zone as well. Under 150 was kind of the game plan here. And this is coming back from levels from late 2022. So we came back to the zone. Not shocked at all. This is popped off about 10% or so. And then now we've shifted structure. So you look at the daily, look at the 4 hour. Market came up to here. It traded up here for a day. So price came up to this. We stayed here for a day. This coming back to basically 150 again, and I think that's fantastic. From 150 and then this thing can really, really pop off, in my opinion. So I like what we're seeing. I think there's a couple different targets you can go for, but some of the ones that I have in my radar definitely are Dollar General, Walgreens, Boeing, Etsy, and then from there I haven't given too much. I talked about positions with Coinbase, and so I am positioned here right at the moment. So I actually use crypto in general to, decide when I'm going to take positions with Coinbase too. So right now, Coinbase has popped off. I feel like it has more room to run still as well. So I like where we're at right now with Coinbase. We kind of left the position open here from February, but to be honest, I don't know if we're going to come back for this. Maybe not this cycle, maybe the next one, but I think we're kind of good to go. So daily time frame is we have closed above now for 2 days on Coinbase. Coinbase has a lot of pull in the crypto space. So let's see how this continues. But now, for sure. Oh, also, Peloton, popping. It's done 100%. Peloton has done 100% since we communicated this. If you went to our workshops throughout late May and early June, then we actually gave you the $3 entry. I shared this across my personal live streams, wherever it is that you can follow me. And then we have hit $6 here. So 100%. If you do options, it's much more. And then, But that's what I got so far. This is really about taking actions, guys. That's it. Just do something. I can't click the button for you. I can't be financially responsible for you. You just gotta just do it. Obviously, if it makes sense, but if you're constantly just like watching, just ask yourself, why am I not making the next step? What is it that's missing? Is it a behavioral thing? Is it a financial thing? But yeah, think about it. I know I've been there. That's the only reason I bring it up. It's because I've been there. I know what it's like to just like keep missing out on certain things that I want to be in, and it makes sense. And so keep those in mind. But guys, appreciate you all for being on with me here another week. We'll be back here next Monday as usual, looking at everything, and have a disciplined trading week. All right, have a disciplined week. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you again. I'll see a lot of you tomorrow, New York session. Let's see what these indices got for us. Peace out, guys.